Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
They're watching My Hero Academia Season 8, Episode 9. I believe there are 11 episodes within this season. And, you know, at this point, I'm going to enjoy every second we have left.
Yeah, I really feel that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the what comes after, which I hope is what we're about to watch.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Sweet. Washington State. Meryl.
予報を大きく外してしまったことをもう変なこと言うなよしかし洗濯の際はご注意を風はまだ強く吹いているあの日吹いた一陣の風は戦いを経たこの世界にどのような影響をもたらすのか
How wise.
引き続き予報を続けてまいります
No weird ad-libs, only amazing ad-libs.
Meryl spinoff when? A week.
蛇空戦以降手つかずだった復旧急速に進んでいる
審査機関から図面もらえたんで立てられるところから立ててっちゃいましょう OK
What?
Oh, that is...
Are you kidding me?
頂上以前ならこの規模の復旧に10年はかかっただこれだけの個性が集まればきっとすぐに手術前にもお伝えしましたがこれが最善ですなんとか接合に接合を重ねて形はとどめま
That it's
したが
still an arm.
リハビリで動くようになるかは明言できませんどう見据えるなら見る子のように義手という選択も
いやいいよ俺の個性大由来だもん
かつけ
それにあいつは持ってすらなかったんだ
Oh my god.
どんなきついリハビリだろうがやってやんぜいます
訓練しかダメ腕より心臓よ君はあの状態で戦い切ったのもちょっとよくわかんないのに
I'm terrified to see Midoriya.
数キロも移動できたのかわけわかんないんだから
Yeah.
How did you manage it?
答えたという他にないとにかく絶対安静だからね起きたかい
まさかオールマイトと
Someone pulled some strings.
そっか天子の命を助けることはできませんでした手を伸ばして憎しみが砕け天子は最後までヴィラン連合のリーダーでした
臨死体験した身から言わせてもらうとにどんな顔だったかだと思うよ
壊したよ
それは明日のお前ら次第だなせいぜい頑張れ
そこに泣いている少年がいなかったのならやっぱり心は救ったのだと思うよワン・フォー・オールの使命とともにね伝わってきたよ
けれどまだ残り火がくすぶっているのを感じます
なんで動けんのあんたは
He's impressive.
How's that rest order?
この子あなたが無事か心配してたみたいでズク君もごめんね
おいさっき残り火ってじゃあお前無個性に
でももともとなかったものだし惜しいとかはないよすごい夢を見させてもらったなって感じ
どんな汚え手使いやてめえが受かるんだ
じゃあ僕はその上を行く
俺に追い越されてんだよ
You guys were both supposed to keep going.
What? お前に何しとったんだろうな俺なんとなくこのまま競い合って追っかけていく
やめてよらしくないとりあえずまだ残り火あるし
強くなったんだよ二人とも出会った日から随分変わったした緑谷少年は私にとって最高のヒーローだった今は皆を奮い立たせる皆にとっても最高のヒーローだこれを伝えるいとまを私にくれたバ 白鵬少年も
You made sure I'd have the chance to say
この
this.
ヒーローだ。本当にありがとう。
子供の頃は世界は自動的に平和になると思っていた。僕らの物語は終われない。戦いの後、僕ら
Chart
の
out a
明るい
bright,
未来
peaceful
を
future.
示せるまで、さらに向こうへ。
We have to go beyond.
6月、留め置かれていた
Ah.
先輩たち。
Good job.
Yes!
が痛くない。
嬉しいと平気なの。不思議。
おかげだ。棺で倒れた俺たちをずっと見ていてくれたもの。
超人社会といえど、これほど迅速な復旧の裏には根津校長によるへの働きかけがあった。
Wow.
戦いの先を見ていたんだ。
私たちのためにご臨席いただき誠にありがとうございます。得たものはない。いつもだいたいマイナスをゼロに戻すためのものです。サポート課、経営課、学び屋で培った経験を駆使し一丸となって戦いました。ゼロには戻っていません。3年間はこの先のためにあります。ゴールは今日じゃない。はなき世に明るい未来はない。たくさんの人が笑って過ごせるプラスの世界、そこが私たちのゴールテープです。
Yes, we still have ways to go.
見ててくれよな、ナイトアイ。
今日スタートするのです。在校生の皆さん、じゃあねー。
これが有名卒業式の伝統だそうだ。
例年なら他人は持ち上がりじゃないんだ。
Really?
まあ事情が事情だ。一年よろしく。
I would not want it any other way. It's like he got a promotion.
これで一段落か。お前入院してなくていい。
Shinso better be in 2A or 2B.
全員揃ってなきゃダメだろ。まともなこと言い出したぞ。
反省。
入れ。
Oh!
青山くん。
Leaving.
青やちは変わんない。
It makes sense.
おかげでオールフォーワンたちを分断できたのに。
塚内さんも残っていいとおっしゃってくれたよ。
And it's his decision.
僕自身がけじめをつけたいんだ。罪を償ってもう一度ヒーローの道を目指す。いつか必ず胸を張ってみんなと並び立つからね。だからここでサプライズ A 組の新メンバーさん。
The replacement member.
入り。
Thank God. Nobody has ever deserved it more. I already forgot about me.
ヒーロー科2、3年はこっから当分の間オールマイト引退後、そして言うまでなく蛇空戦後のごつごたる戦いの後には必ず教科書には野乱混乱があります。
It gets left out.
象徴の不在。オールフォーワンも混乱の中生まれたわけだしな。
オッケー、入れ線。
ああ。
入れ線。
私一応元
Oh, wow.
君らは除籍。
おいふわ、もういいよ、行け。
はーい。何のためにヒーローになるか分かった。じゃ
から忙しくなるな。けど休むいとまはもらったし。
浦中さん。
デク君まで怪我でそれ剃ったんだよね。はよまた伸びるといいね。
いや、常闇だよ。違うが気に入っている。
か、気に入ってるんだ。
Wow.
緑よ。じゃあ俺はここで。
轟くん。
Look at Todoroki's hair. It's so layered.
Everyone got haircuts in the battle, basically.
Yeah.
Here goes.
って言ったのに。それを言うなら。
Wow.
あなたたちもよ。冬美、夏を。でも。
それを言うならお前もだ、レイ。
義務感で
Oh my
来たん
God.
じゃねえから。みんなそうだろ。
What?
会話は可能ですが、1日に数分が限界です。穏やかに死へと向かっている。 今の轟東也です。
そろそろと名物じゃねえんだよ。
東也、俺はヒーローを引退するよ。元より戦いが終わったらそうするつもりだったが、自力で立つことすらままならお前の炎は誰よりも強かった。
師匠様、ことが済んでから
東也は俺のことをよくわかってる。ずっと見てたんだもんな。俺に見て欲しかったんだもんな。なのに見なかった。お前の熱は俺のヘルフレイムだ。ガツ映像を毎日見続けた。これから毎日来る。話をしよう。あまりに遅すぎたけれど話そう。心拍数上昇。憎いなら憎いと何でもいい。ぶつけてくれ。
東也に私も話したいことたくさんあるの。
また明日にでも。
すみません、最後に一つ聞きたかったことがあるんだ。東也に好きな食べ物がない
マンソーバ。
体力の限界ですね。今日は眠らせて、また明日。
そうだ。
同じだ。これ以上は平行線だ。
翔太、ごめんな。
俺はここまでだわ。悪いけど気持ち変わんない。俺はもう付き合わない。
ああ、
彼女と籍入れたい。式はあげない。紹介もしない。
ああ、した罪の賠償と謝罪を一生かけて続けていく。っていなくていい。
You don't have to
お前た
watch.
ちに降りかかる火の粉をできる限り俺が受けた。それだけなんだ。
地獄だぞ。
ンスの誘いを受けたんでな。
初めてだよ。お父さんのことかっこいいって思えたの。
親父、お母さん、俺には A 組のみんながいるから大丈夫だよ。俺は自分でなりてえようになれるから。
ショート。勝ったな。大丈夫だったか。
お腹すいた。
もっと元気出せる言葉聞かんかい。
No, that was the most encouraging thing that she could say.
見てる人がいる。
Oh, look at Hawks' sword.
変わるか変えるか。
How will we change
あ、も
them?
しもし、メラさん。銀行委員長のフォークスです。
Wow! Wow!
Okay, that was My Hero Academia Season 8, Episode 9. Hawks is the new Public Safety Commission president.
Yep.
And I hope that Lady Nagant is healed to a place that she is somehow working with him.
That would be absolutely insane and absolutely super cool if that was to happen.
Yeah. Or she takes like the Aoyama route and like, you know, takes a step back for a little bit and does her own work in her own way to redeem herself,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
then it's also really kind of sad that no one's like planning her farewell party.
Yeah.
Know? Like, the same route as Aoyama.
Man, coming out of the last, I guess, third of the episode or half of the episode, the condition of what Dobby was in truly like left me speechless. It was horrifying to see the lengths of destruction that he did to himself. Wild.
Yeah. I guess we'll start talking about the Todoroki family then.
Yeah.
If that's the topic that's come into your mind kind of so quickly, then we should just talk about it.
Mhm.
The episode title, Epilogue, the Hellish Todoroki Family Final.
That is an apt title.
Mhm. Epilogue, like when I see epilogue, it makes me kind of feel how I did when the episode ended, which is like this could have been the last episode, not that I like wanted it to be, but it felt like we were like we got to see what characters were up to. We got to see that, you know, we know that everyone's rebuilding. A week has gone by, but, you know, what normally would take 10 years of reconstruction in a non-hero society, look, with the quirks we have, we're able to do it a lot quicker. We have a new graduating class. We have new students coming to the school. You know, we got some things kind of shown to us of like, this is the path that we're going to be moving forward. We have characters like Mirio being like, there's still so much for us to do, and we're going to keep paving the way forward. So obviously I would love to talk later on in the discussion, what is there that we did not see in this episode that we might have expected, but we're talking about the Todoroki family.
Yes.
The next part of the title, the Hellish Todoroki family.
I found it really fascinating for them to like I love how they're writing Natsuo's character as well. Like I within the Todoroki family, all of them have their own personalities, and all of the personalities in their entire life is so obviously tied and affected to the lifestyle that Endeavor led and the parenting that he, you know, enforced within the family. And you can't I don't want to make it too obvious, but like, you can't erase those scars, you know, you can't erase the burns. You can't, like, they are permanently a part of you and a part of your history. And I enjoy that is consistent all until the very end. And the idea of Endeavor being like, yes, I'm retiring from hero work. And I'm like, well, yeah, like, look at the condition you're in. Like, you can't even stand on your own.
I liked the including of Natsuo's kind of feelings about the family and what his path forward is going to be, because it's sad, and it's like the ugly truth, you know, that is okay. If he wants to cut ties with some or all of the family, that is his right to do so. Especially, like, no one's going to be like, you're an awful person, you should be forgiving your father.
It's his prerogative. He's able to do what he wants with his life, and what's great about it is Endeavor's response. Because it's the first time that he's looked cool in Natsuo's eyes, and I think that is sweet, because that's all that it's never going to be enough. Like, I'm sorry, it's never going to be forgiven just like that, but Endeavor knows that, and Endeavor believes it, and you can tell that he believes it and knows what he's going to do going forward. Yeah,
there's no guilting or shaming of his son for the choices his son's going to make with his own future. And I really like the line from Endeavor of like, you don't have to watch. You don't have to feel obligation to watch my atonement, to watch what I'm up to. That I'm going to tell you what it is that I'm going to do. I'm going to try with every waking moment to atone, and I'm going to try to block any of the negativity from coming to the way of the rest of the family and hurting you guys. I'm going to do all that I can, because that's why I'm alive. That's why I believe I'm alive right now, is to protect you guys the best I can and atone. And I feel like it was almost surreal to see an interaction like that, of this like dynamic of like parent and child, and them both being able to say their piece, which with so much emotion and so much past
and so much honesty, like being able to that's the only true way to be able to have a chance at going forward, is if everybody involved is able to acknowledge the uncomfortable, horrific truth of the past
and respect each other's kind of choices and boundaries that they're gonna set for their life going forward.
Completely agree. One of the best aspects of My Hero Academia, in my opinion, entire series included, is just every ounce of the Todoroki family storyline. I think that it's perfect, and it's one of my favorite, if not one of the top like one or two things in this series for me. And a lot of that is done by Shoto, in my opinion, in terms of the heavy lifting his character is able to do, starting with season 2 with Midoriya. Like, that conversation in the hallway that Bakugo, or outside of the hallway where Bakugo's listening in on, like, that started a chemical reaction that was able to do something within the series that really meant a lot to me. And I love that here, like, you always hear parents will always worry about their children, and given what he has been through and been put through by Endeavor specifically, and just his whole family dynamic, for him to come out and go out of his way to to say I'm gonna be okay. I have all of Class A with me and standing with me. I thought was extremely mature of him and awesome.
When you use the phrase like some of the heavy lifting he seemingly had to do for the family, especially due to like in the early years the attention from Endeavor being so heavily on Shoto. But what he's doing here in this episode, he has two moments. While they are kind of small one-liner type moments, like when he asks Dabi at the very end, like says, like, so much so, I have one last thing to say. I know you're saying that we need to stop talking to him, but I have one last thing to say. And it's to ask him his favorite food, and then to turn to his parents and tell them a reason to not have to feel, like, worried about him, that he's gonna be okay. Yes, he's looking out for other people's emotional well-being there, sure, but I think that that's just attached to looking out for himself and caring about things that he cares about. Like, if you're being true to yourself and you've decided within yourself, I care about those people, then it's not putting yourself out to do something that is nice to those people.
Yeah.
And what he chooses to do there are both simple things and easy to say, but still hold a lot of weight and a lot of importance. There's almost a normalcy to them that I feel like is refreshing for a family that's gone through so much heartache. If your little brother is asking you what your favorite food is after the war you basically all fought as a family and everything you've gone through, and that's the first thing your little brother says to you when you've all come out of it.
I completely agree. Like, think about even what it, like, I think that it's important that Shoto, like, the idea of his family members his siblings not knowing each other's favorite food and what his favorite food was, like, that snowballed into this moment, and it is Shoto, I feel like, adding in these like close to wholesome real family moments that are closer than they're able to get to.
He's breathing new life into it. What he's showing is he's
obvious
like
Fuyumi, I believe her name is too. Yeah, like she obviously has done a lot as well.
But we're talking about Shoto specifically here, obviously. He's breathing new life, I feel like, into the family a little bit, and he has been holding it together for the family, I would say, doing a lot of the work for the family, as we've seen from him.
I was coming at it more like the narrative like aspect of their family story. He's done the heavy lifting of, like, but I think that, like, ending it in the way that we did, the idea that Dabi and Toya is in the painful position that he's in, that it sounded to me like on the verge of death, somewhat, if not very soon.
They said, they did kind of talk about it, like, he's not gonna be here forever.
Yeah, and Endeavor seemingly making that statement and that promise that he was going to be there every day until that inevitably happens so that they can talk.
Yeah, even if just the talking is, I hate you every single day.
Yeah, it's oddly, it's interesting, because, like, I'm trying to think of what happens if Dabi dies in the battle instead of is barely alive here. And what happens if Endeavor dies there too? What if both of them died at that point? But this is almost, it gives them a chance to almost feel cathartic and be able to have a resolution and get a little bit of what should be happening. But it almost is penance a little bit too, because of the pain of the situation both of them are in now. Obviously, Dabi is in a much more critical condition, but both of them are extremely wounded.
Yeah. I think it's something for the entire family for different reasons. Like, the idea of if Dabi had died versus the state that we see him in now. The whole family comes here to see him, even if the rest of the family isn't necessarily going to be visiting him anymore after this.
Okay, I have, like, a really out-of-pocket, like, wild thing, like, tinfoil thing to say. So but I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice by not just being openly delusional. So, like, everybody has haircuts this episode, right? And I love so
not
many
really
of them.
intentional.
And when I saw Natsuo this episode, it was hard for me not to, like, I was reaching, I guess, but I was looking at Nanashimura's son, like, and thinking if there was any, like, visual similarities or comparisons in terms of how they're being presented or how they look, and if you could try to make a thematic comparison between, like, what a hero chooses to do with their kids and what their reaction to heroes would be going forward, and how they would, like, Natsuo moving on and getting married, and if he had kids, would, like, if how would that be handled if Endeavor never even got to this point? Like, if he never got to the point that Natsuo was able to say he's cool, what would Natsuo teach his kids about heroes, you know? And
Very true.
And I think that I'm probably reaching in terms of the visual comparison, but I did want to say something.
It doesn't necessarily even have to be a visual comparison, just to think about the actual family dynamic of neglectful parent that was a hero, and or you felt neglected by your parent because of how busy they were with their hero work, and therefore then how do you parent your own kids going forward? How would you feel if they wanted to go into the same line of work as your parent that you had unsorted feelings about? Yeah, I think that comparison is kind of a great one, because I feel like it really talks about what we were trying to say here about if Dobby had died and we weren't all able to walk in front of him here as a family, even though he's in the state that he's in, it's doing something for all of them. It's something for all of them. It's all different across the board, but it's doing something for each member of the family, and that's kind of why we have them here. Like, Natsuo is able to, I would say, have a final look at his past and then choose for himself.
Yeah, I'm crazy. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there in the comparison.
I don't think so, at least.
Visually.
But yeah, sorry, go on.
It's exactly what he needed to kind of choose his own path, is that everyone in the family is now kind of being completely honest. People are making their statements of how they want to live their lives going forward. We're all in a place of actually being present enough to listen to each other, even if this is the kind of final moment of doing so before parting ways. And so I would say for every member of the family, this one walking up to Dobby for a minute is monumental, that they were all there. And I know we're spending so much time talking about Natsuo and his kind of interaction with Endeavor, but I feel like it's something I wanted to talk about so much, because it's almost something that you'd expect to be shied away from. That kind of, we as viewers have watched Endeavor, especially interacting with Shoto, and obviously we get Hawks talking to Endeavor and kind of cheering him on from the sidelines in this episode. We've watched Endeavor's path, we've watched the ugliness of it, and we've watched his path toward atonement that he has been on for a couple seasons now. And while we can see everything, I'm sure in writing this, there's probably a part of you or a part of a viewer that would want for a character that they're watching, all to be forgiven, you know? Let's just, put it, behind the curtain a little bit, just so I can see people be happy on the screen and not have to face something that is kind of bittersweet or kind of the ugly truths of something. Like, sometimes it can be hard to see something like that. And what we're seeing is something that is just across the board. It's sad. It's just sad. But it makes sense.
I have a question for you. In terms of storytelling, do you think that as a person, as an adult, maybe is a better way to phrase it, what motivates you more, or do you think that they're equally motivational? A story that ends with more unrealistic, grandiose, like everything's okay in a way that some could perceive as a fairy tale, but it could give off the impression to strive and motivate you to do more, to be a better version of yourself, to be the best version of yourself that you can see, or to see a story written that does have a lot of consequence depending on the history of it, and they're still pushing on and the scars still remain. Because, if you're able to depict a story that horrific tragedies or horrific events can happen to an individual, but they can overcome them, you can portray it in a few different ways. And I don't think that it's a bad thing to portray it in a way that is unrealistically optimistic, depending on the story.
Like you said, use the word fairy tale. Fairy tales exist for a purpose, and I think that a story that also shows the consequences of actions in a little more of a realistic setting also have a place at the table. And I feel like in terms of what's more motivational, I would definitely say seeing a character like Endeavor, who has done awful stuff, come with the perspective that he does now about, he's not trying to guilt or shame people. He's not trying to erase what it is that he's done. He's not begging and pleading for everyone around him to forgive him for what he's done.
It gives me hope that people can change for the better, regardless of how old they are or the situation that they're in.
That they can live the rest of their lives here trying to be proud of themselves for how they are acting.
Yeah.
That they aren't making anyone else responsible for their own change or for their own feelings. That they're taking accountability for their own personal life and feelings, and they're moving forward in the best way that they can.
And not in the way of, okay, I acknowledged I did something wrong and it was awful. Why don't you just forgive me?
Yeah,
you know,
like I already acknowledged it.
Yeah,
Let's move on past it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just glad that I guess Endeavor has the texting buddy in Hawks. It couldn't be Shoto, and I'm sorry, but it shouldn't be Shoto, and I'm...
It really should not be
Yeah.
It should be Hawks, and I like that they're cheering each other on, and I like that Ray is the one that sees the like text messages and is like kind of smiling at her phone when she sees it, and she's like, oh yep, someone's watching you.
It's almost like a sign of like when Endeavor changed, and like when like that, like him reaching out and having this connection with Hawks, and it be like from the ground up like pretty genuine. And, like I love seeing it.
Before we leave the Todoroki family, I don't think we've said it yet, but obviously I'm not trying to talk about Natsuo anymore, but the idea of like you don't have to watch, but we have Endeavor saying to Toya, like, I still watch the like accusation video. I still watch that video
every day
over and over again.
And he's accepting the dance, like every single day.
Accepting the dance and acknowledging Toya's existence as being his son by being like, that hell flame inside of you is most definitely mine.
Yep. And like you said, acknowledging that Toya was watching him the entire time. That's so important. And it's nice that even Endeavor has like the Endeavor agency with him at the end there to show up, and like there are bonds that he has made that people appreciate him and see all the work that he puts in, and I love seeing that.
Or still people that just want to stand beside him.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say at the moment for the Todoroki family is Dabi's voice actor fucking killed it. He always has, and he's always been one of the most enjoyable voice actors to be able to listen to perform, but he killed it this episode, and it hit me. All right, other things this episode. Do you have anything that you want to jump to immediately?
I think there's a pretty good segue.
Okay.
I think there's a pretty good segue to Uraraka. If you talk about the fact that Dabi was here, we talked about what if Dabi had died and the Todoroki family wasn't able to come see him here in the kind of aftermath of beating All for One. We have Uraraka shown like twice, 3 times in this episode. Each time, I felt a sense of like...
Toga's presence?
I felt a sense of like something's going on with her. She's in her head right now, or she's trying to feel comfortable and trying to be okay. That's at least what I felt in a few of the scenes. Like when we see her in the hospital bed, she's kind of grasping her side, which obviously could just be about injury, but it felt a little more like she was internally like within her mind. And then when she's with all of her friends walking, it felt a little bit like someone trying to kind of latch on to normalcy the best they could, despite the wounds that they're currently carrying. And so that therefore I think we have to talk about like one of the villain characters that died and impact on Uraraka.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like when they're all walking out and she's looking out of the hospital window, but then when she's walking out with Class 1A and we're getting a little bit of a focus on her. It's like the gust of wind, really. The gust of wind that's blowing and Midoriya's reaction to it. But I guess not even Midoriya's reaction to it more than anything. The, oh, you like it, huh? And that smile, it just immediately hit me with Toga. And that impact of like, of seeing Toga for what she was. And I think that that's really fascinating for the character of Uraraka.
I feel like she must be emotionally in an incredibly weird place, in the same way that there are probably a lot of characters across the board that emotionally are in a weird place where they're trying to kind of be able to find the strength within themselves to then kind of keep walking forward even though there's still chaos going on. We have a line about the chaos that's not written in the textbooks is the chaos that is after the war and after the fight.
That's the time that All for One was bred, you know?
And that's the time of the rebuilding. And so this is a time of chaos and unsettled feelings and uncomfortable feelings emotionally. And Uraraka is a character who cares a lot about her classmates, cares a lot about Deku, obviously probably knows and is aware of their injuries, and she obviously would want people to be comfortable and want people to be happy and want everyone to be able to go on as friends and be positive and her be a positive influence on them. But we also can't forget like what it is that she went through. Basically near-death experience, almost died, could have died. The villain saved her life. The lasting impact on her that Toga has had.
Well, I mean, think about like one of the first things Midoriya said when we saw him this episode. I couldn't save Tenko's life. Like the idea of that, just being a hero in this place and time right now and in this position, it's like, it's difficult. And like what Mirio said, we aren't finished and it's time to get started. Like we are very much in the aftermath of a massive conflict, and everybody feels that, and you can see it on everybody in different ways, and I think this is our way of seeing it on Uraraka. I do wonder if we're going to, if we are correct in that there are 11 episodes in this season and this wasn't the last episode, because that would be devastating, but I would wonder if we're going to see a little bit more of Uraraka.
There's two things like I had wrote down that I wanted to say that we didn't see that I was expecting to see, or that I expect to see in the coming episodes or hope to see in the coming episodes. And one of the two was Deku and Uraraka maybe more one-on-one interaction. Like she didn't even get to be there for Deku's like final fight moment against All for One / Shigaraki.
Yeah.
She watched it from a screen, horribly injured. And we know the feelings that are there, you know, even if characters in the show haven't admitted it yet to each other. I feel like seeing them at least one-on-one, having even a short conversation that we can then fill in the blanks or have our imagination kind of take over of what would come next for them in the coming weeks after the show ends. I feel like that's something that I hope to see, because they're just walking together as a class here, and Deku's obviously watching her face and her expressions and hearing her talk in this conversation, and we can fill in the blanks of guessing what he's thinking in his head as he's watching her. But that is one of the things that I was like, in the next couple episodes as we finish out the series, I almost kind of expect them to have a conversation together.
You know what's really fascinating? Like, in Midoriya's thought, it's interrupted by Todoroki, right? Like making sure that he's okay. And one of the aspects of being a hero within the society, I think back to Bakugo, Todoroki, and Midoriya training under Endeavor, and like it's reaction time and being able to almost predict a crime before it's going to happen and be able to be ready for it. And that applies to a lot of aspects of life. Like being perceptive and keeping an eye out on the people that you care about enough that if you see a look on their face that could be thinking about like what Ida was going through at the end of season 2, being able to perceive that and then do something about it and act on it is an aspect of being a hero that kind of motivates me, and I feel like it could apply to me if taking more care to make sure that everybody I know and care about is okay, you know?
I love that. Like a hero lesson, something that they were supposed to be using for their work to save people can actually be used for their connection and their friendships and interpersonal relationships, and is also something that we in real life outside of watching My Hero Academia or outside of being in the show can actually implement as well. The perceptive nature of noticing something, acting, whether you don't have to believe for sure, like, oh, I think my friend's not okay. Just check in on them.
I am so glad that Shinso is in class. He deserves it so goddamn much, and I am so glad that we got to see it. I mean, it makes sense. It's like even kind of more fitting that it's a replacement with Aoyama, but
we both felt so strongly that first, that someone's at the door. Okay, who's gonna walk in?
Shinso!
Both of us were like, and then obviously it was Shinso the second time,
Yeah.
but we were both, I think, thinking for sure, like, that first time, that's who
it makes sense that it's Aoyama, and I do like his decision to take a step back, and I hope that he's able to reach great heights at some point in his career.
He wants to stand proudly beside them again, but he wants to go about it a way that feels like he's actually climbing
If
himself
I've said it
to
once,
get there.
I've said it 1,000 times. He needs to team up with Gentle and La Brava. It writes itself. It's its own story. It's its own spin-off, and it literally writes itself.
It does. It does write itself a bit. I think that would actually... I can really see that,
Yeah.
honestly.
I really liked getting an introduction or seeing the character of Fuwa and Aizawa interacting, because it was able to convey something to the class, like that different context or perspective of what Aizawa was doing. And we didn't see it on screen in form of a flashback or anything, but when we zoomed in on Deku's face while that conversation was going on, my mind immediately went back to, I think it was in the first 5 episodes of My Hero Academia, and I could be wrong, apologies, but it's when we're doing the baseball test, and when All Might then like reaches around the corner and it's like, what did you become so cool? Because that whole concept of Midoriya putting himself out of being involved in a mission or being able to act as a hero because of destroying his own body, and Midoriya being able to take that step and utilizing just his fingertip for that baseball throw. Like, that's what it reminded me of because of that expulsion on the line. And for everybody to hear that idea that like, oh yeah, none of you had to get expelled like we did just for that fear, you know? It was really nice.
It makes me happy that even though they moved up in terms of they're not 1A anymore in terms of class, Aizawa came with them.
Yeah.
Obviously it makes me happy because, I love that character. He cares about them. But then I actually think about realistically why you would do that. Say why the principal would make that choice. Why the adults in the situation would make this choice. And it makes a lot of sense in a more like mental health for the students sort of kind of topic of conversation. Like if you're young people who have just gone through absolute horror and seen absolute horror, and then you then return to school, return to like quote unquote normalcy, and then have to have a different person that you're, as the adult, that you would then have to be going to if there was an emotional issue or repercussions or a mental health conversation that needed to happen. You need a trusted adult that is close and attentive to you and is someone that you feel like you trust with the chaos that comes after the war. Like, I think it was not just like fan service, not just, because it'd be fun if they still had Aizawa as a teacher. I think it's actually just realistically smart that they would keep him as a teacher, as the trusted adult that they feel safe with.
Situations that are unaccounted for should result in results that might be unaccounted for. If a catastrophe happens and you have to go about things in not a procedural way that you can account for, then the result in trying to deal with the aftermath shouldn't necessarily be by the books, because it's not accounting for emotions. It's not accounting for people.
You're trying to think of the kids have returned to school. You're trying to think of their best interest. That's what the adults in the school, the teachers, the principals, like, that's what they are thinking about now that we've returned to school, and probably always was the best interest of the education and the health of its students, both physical and mental health.
You just have to shout out Principal Nezu. And that wasn't just the only thing he did. He, from the beginning, he was being prepared for the outcome and what the look of, like, what the idea of success would look like, and how to try to properly get everything back to some semblance of normalcy as quick as possible.
All the people that he was communicating with kind of in the sidelines to ensure that we had as much help as we possibly could have.
Yeah, I absolutely adored Mirio's speech. I kind of felt like exactly one of the students, like
falling back in your chair.
No, like right when he was up there, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna kill it. He's going to like moon us, you know, with his butt and like tell us a pun or some shit. But like, he did exactly what he should have done and needed to do. And I think that the seriousness and the approach that he took with it was extremely important, not because he was speaking to civilians, but he was speaking to heroes and upcoming heroes, and something that he chose to do in that moment was instill and pass on the legacy and the thought that Night Eye left behind, of that idea of a future that you can smile for and laugh at, you know, and be able to make those jokes and bring humor. And I love that that's what he chose to do in that moment, and I'm glad that it was Mirio up there on stage.
It works. The route that he took to give his speech, it works because of the expectations that everyone else had of him. It's like he played on their own feelings or perception of him and how he normally acts in order to ensure that he had all of their attention, and to ensure that the serious words that he had to share would actually be listened to, because he got the shock factor in that they were all surprised that he didn't just lead with a joke, and this wasn't all just lighthearted and mooning and joking.
Yeah.
Everyone was out of their seats, but they were so captivated that not one person moved to sit back in their chair as he was talking.
Mirio went out of his way to make sure that Amajiki and Hado were okay in the coffin in the sky. That was nice to hear. God, I wish I could see it. I wish there was like extended cuts of everything that happened.
We need that, like, yeah, the extra content at the end that's just kind of like every other camera that was every other location, and we get to see everything that we possibly missed, because I do feel like there was some things that we missed a little bit.
Yeah, man. Okay, I feel like it's time in this discussion to talk about, like, objectively the best part of the episode that I'm completely not biased about.
Is it Bakugo coming into the hospital room?
No, it started well before he came into the hospital room. Like, the idea that when he's talking about his own future, and the idea that he would, if he wanted to continue hero work, he'd need a prosthetic like Mirko. I love that he's talking about the logistics of it. You know, he needs his palms for his quirk, but then immediately he's like, besides, he didn't even have one. And I'm like, God, that's when it starts. That's it. That's when the moment starts, and it only just gets better. The moment that he heard Midoriya say something about the embers, I lost it. I love how much the character's grown, and he cares so much. And I know that Midoriya is like, this isn't like in character for you. This isn't how you should be reacting, but it is how he should be reacting. And that's why I love it so much. And the idea that his reaction is like, what did I do to you? Like, the idea of both of them striving to make each other stronger too, and that putting each other in riskier situations and more dangerous situations that, you know, you could easily find blame in terms of blaming yourself, but also the idea that it would resonate or remind Bakugo of like what else he did to somebody. Like, he blamed himself originally for what happened to All Might before they were able to talk about it and talk about that it wasn't Bakugo's fault. And that being brought up of like, what did I do to you, was goddamn great.
An amazing choice in terms of the writing for that to be the moment of conversation between Deku and All Might that Bakugo is listening in on before entering the room. That the conversation topic of that leads to and alludes to Deku being quirkless again is the moment that Bakugo overhears and is able to walk in there with it. I was absolutely excited and floored by the fact that that was the moment of the conversation that Bakugo was listening in on and would, of course, be reacting to.
I love that Bakugo saved All Might here. Like All Might gives it to Bakugo that he's the reason that he was able to be here and say what he's able to say today. And now I'm like, fuck, how is it that we never really get moments ever between Bakugo and Night Eye? Like, Night Eye being able to see that future of All Might, that he's going to die in this horrific way, and Bakugo being one of the people that is instrumental in All Might being here. It makes me wish for an alternate timeline that Bakugo and Night Eye get to interact more on screen.
Yeah, oh, I definitely feel that now. Now that you said it, I'm like, yeah, I wish an alternate, like some other universe, some other dimension where things are a little different and Night Eye's able to like talk to Bakugo.
Yeah.
Now that All Might has survived.
I liked All Might's response a lot to Midoriya's being upset of the fact that he couldn't save Tenko's life, and it being about the look on his face at that last moment and it wasn't a little kid crying.
Yeah, if it wasn't the crying boy that you saw in that last moment before Shigaraki died, then you did save his heart.
All right, do you have anything else? I have 2 or 3 more things.
I have 2 more things.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Okay. Should I go with I guess they're both kind of softballs at this point in the conversation. They're both kind of softballs.
Cool.
So one other thing that I kind of hope for or expect to see in terms of like end of the season, end of the series interactions that might be to come. Obviously, I already said my one of 2, which was Uraka and Deku. Deku and his mom.
Okay.
That's my other one that I'm like, I feel like that could be very sweet to see, even if it's it's like an ending shot. Imagine this. It's the end of the series. It's an ending shot. And you have like the very beginning of this season start when you have kind of the cherry blossoms and you have the hands of like All Might and Deku. Have like them be in a backyard together hanging out, and then they turn because they hear Deku's mom calling to them, and they then go into the house and have dinner or something, you know? And that be you seeing Deku's mom and like some sort of interaction. Like, it can be simple and it can be just a showing of like the support and love that he has from his mom.
I thought you were going to say Deku and Eri.
Oh, wait, that's good. That's good.
I would also love to see All Might and Deku's mom. Like, the idea of
yes.
Deku's mom being like, you need to stay alive for him. And, like, the fact that he did. Like, there's so many that I could think of.
About the picture I'm painting. They're both in the backyard together.
True.
She is calling them in to have all dinner, the 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
How lovely that would be.
So good.
So good.
All right, do you have another one?
My last thing was just the idea that we're already putting it into the story, into the series. Another aspect of what there's so much to come after this, even if the story that's being told by My Hero Academia is completing, by the fact that not only we have a bunch of reconstruction to do, and this is also a tough part, but the fact that there are new students at the school, and as all of former Class 1A is walking out of the school together, they're talking about how they'll get to, all the new students are going to be there, and they're going to be the upperclassmen now. And wow, I guess that's another thing I could possibly see us seeing in the next couple episodes, just even a glimpse of those next students, that we can almost for ourselves imagine what their life as becoming heroes is going to be like.
Koda taking upon the water hose name and becoming a hero.
I think he's a little young to be to be a freshman, but
so I have a few more things. One of them, Meryl should be a philosopher. Another one is, you brought up during the opening, like, it's literally what happened. And I agree with you, but I don't feel for a second that I was like spoiled by anything in any type of way.
It's literally what happened in a very not exact way.
Yeah, and I love that.
It's not frame by frame. It's not actual.
Uh-huh.
But it's literally what happened.
Yeah.
On a more like kind of on a more emotional note, on a more figurative note, poetic.
Tsukuichi is the reason that All Might and Deku were able to be in the same rooms, and it makes sense for security reasons. I love that.
Yeah, that's why we did it.
Yeah.
Security reasons.
3D printing man was incredible. The idea that he can like see like a model and then just like, that's so fucking cool, man. And then my last thing is, at like 2 minutes and 23 seconds, we see this guy, right? He's a cowboy.
I think it's a girl.
Or a girl, sorry. Either way, it reminds me of the girl, the exchange student that we get, the pony girl with the horns that she can fire off. And I'm like, is there any relation?
Are they related?
We see the cowboy hat.
Do you think that she's a hero from the U.S.?
That was what I was thinking. Yeah. And if she was, then there could be relation, you know?
True.
But I don't know. That was my last thing.
That was your last thing?
Yep.
What a great ending note.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So you good?
I like that we started this discussion off with all of the like heavy emotional stuff, and then we now kind of gotten to the part where it's just like, wow, this show's fun. I like this show. Look at this detail.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite haircuts?
Favorite haircuts? Well, none of the haircuts were intentional. I think Deku's look that he's going for is interesting.
It'll grow back.
It'll grow back. Todoroki's looks nice and shaggy, which is not necessarily what I would expect from him. I would say Tokoyami is my favorite.
Yeah, Tokoyami's is pretty great. He's gonna look even better with Hawks, which I didn't even think could happen. But I think mine at the moment is Todoroki. I feel like he's growing into himself very well.
He is growing into himself very well. I mean, that's basically what this episode, I feel like, was showcasing to us, was specifically him kind of, becoming who he wants to be and how he wants to be and how he wants to treat other people. And he feels like a character that feels very comfortable in who they are at the moment, which, for how we were introduced to him as a character in this series, it is really lovely to see him feel comfortable within his own body.
Yep. All right, you good?
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. We hope to see you next time.